I'm Gabe Lyons, and at Q, we believe the church is a community of people that inhabit every area of culture and are motivated by the belief that God loves the world and makes that love present in the world through His Son, the Spirit, and the church He adores. For Christians, this is not simply a confession of faith, but a calling to receive, embody, and bear God's love to our neighbors everywhere and at all times. This is hard because in our pluralistic age, the church must embody this love in the midst of great challenges. Some of these challenges are cultural. Sparked by the philosophic and scientific dream of liberating humanity, the principles of the Enlightenment brought us reason, productivity, and self-governance, sprouting widespread education, material wealth, and incredible technologies. But while the promise of the Enlightenment was real, out of its light grew shadows. Moral reasoning, both secular and religious, gave way to destructive ideologies. Economic productivity and unprecedented wealth have given rise to tragic inequalities. And technology has enslaved even as it has freed. And a blind faith in individualism has made us into one of the most selfish societies in history, which means that today we live in an age of contradiction, of incredible struggle between the dream of an enlightened utopia and the reality of its darker self. And it is in this darkness where both the church and its neighbor wander, conflicted about what is true, confused about our identities, and cynical about the possibility of community. And yet it is here in this age that God calls the church to become again what it was always meant to be, the very presence of love in the world. But other challenges come from within the church itself, which prevent her from being just what this age demands. One of the many implications of this contradictory age is that the church is experiencing a kind of identity crisis. See, it wasn't so long ago that our vision, our influence, and our goals were embraced and shared by the culture at large. But now, the church lives as a cultural minority, where to call yourself a Christian runs the risk of suspicion, even stigma. How have churches reacted to this identity crisis? Some through drawing stronger boundaries between them and their neighbors, withdrawing from culture to fortify the church against potential corruption. Others have tried to dominate their neighbors, seeking power and control in order to take the culture back. And still others have blended into the culture through assimilation, adopting the world's perspective so completely that the church becomes indistinct from it. And while these reactions look different, they share the same destructive characteristic. They are motivated by the church focusing disproportionately on itself and its own experience, rather than that of its neighbor and their experience, which ultimately means the church, whose very purpose is to manifest God's presence of love in our communities, is in real danger of becoming an absence. So what does it mean for the church to embody the love that God has promised? We have found that this work begins with 6 practices. First, embracing our context, recognizing how to love our neighbors well in this cultural moment. Second, recovering our confession, becoming reacquainted with what Christians have always believed. Third, insisting on human dignity, celebrating that we are all made in the image of God, and this is our core identity. Fourth, cultivating virtue, pursuing formation in our daily habits carried out in relationships with other people. Fifth, extending hospitality, welcoming strangers and nurturing friendships that build community. And finally, reimagining our vocation, ordering our work toward the common good. What will happen as we begin to inhabit these practices collectively? Not fortification, not domination, not assimilation, but rather incarnation, becoming the very presence of love in the world. Begin that journey with us by visiting qideas.org/6practices.